everyone, and welcome to the Millennial Revolt, an independent political talk show that seeks to bring a different narrative than the stale one we have going on right now in the mainstream media. So today we are going to be talking about the election of Tom Perez to DNC chair and how the Democratic Party has learned nothing from their defeat in the 2016 election, how I think that they are going to lose the midterms and they're going to lose in 2020 because they just don't get it. So there's so much to talk about. There's so much we have to get into, so let's jump right into it. So with the election of Tom Perez to DNC chair, it proves that the Clintonians, the Clintonistas, however you like to call them, it proves that they have won, that the Democratic Party as a whole, the establishment of the party, has learned nothing from their election loss. They have not understood what so many of us who do support the Democratic Party or who are Democrats know, that ideology needs to change as well as money in politics. Hillary Clinton outraised President Trump 5 times the amount of money he raised. And apparently it seems that the Democratic Party is more focused on fundraising than actually dealing with core issues that we care about. And they care more about appeasing their donor class than the actual people who support the party. And it's a shame because what they're doing is they're going to continue to alienate their younger supporters. They're going to continue to alienate moderates like myself in the party to just completely give up. You know, I hold a small, slimmer glimmer of hope that the Democratic Party can reform. Because as I said before on my channel, and it bears repeating, I believe that the country works best when we have a balance of both conservative and liberal ideology in the country. You know, one shouldn't dominate the other, but we work best in tangent with both of these ideologies. And unfortunately, the neoliberals have won. I do not think that Keith Ellison would have been a good fit for DNC chair. I've said this before and I will say it again. What is Keith Ellison's claim to fame where he deserved to be the DNC chair? He was rallying for a no-fly zone in Syria as well. To me, that is disqualifying for anyone. I feel like the only reason why they picked him is because he was black and because he was Muslim. That's personally how I feel. You may disagree with me. That is perfectly fine. But I feel that they were engaging in identity politics. And I said this before. The Democratic Party has an ideology problem as well. Money in the party is also a problem, but ideology as well. And if you don't fix those two things, you're never going to reform the Democratic Party. What I feel like is going to happen, because the progressive members within the Democratic Party who fall under that umbrella, the far left members of the Democratic Party, because they got shafted in this election, with the election of Tom Perez, they're going to feel more alienated, as well as moderates within the party is going to continue to feel alienated. Their voices are not going to be heard. Dem exit, as it happened during the 2016 primaries in the Democratic Party, it's going to happen again because our voices are not being heard. Now, with the moderates in the party are going to continue to have their voices silenced. I already feel like that's going to happen. Eventually, what's going to happen is if the Democratic Party loses in the 2018 midterms, which I suspect that they will, if they lose again, the progressives are going to revolt in the party. I feel like they might start primarying some of these neoliberal candidates the same way many conservative members did with the Tea Party. The Tea Partiers started primarying conservative members on the Republican side, and they got into power that way. Moderates within the party, classical liberals, will continue to be silenced. People like Jim Webb, people like Tulsi Gabbard, who I know she says she's a progressive, but her policies line more up with a moderate JFK Democrat. we will continue to be silenced. Our voices will not be heard because we're not too far to the left. We're more center, we're centrists, and it's going to look like we're very right wing. So where our voices are going to be continue to be silenced, and we're going to, I feel, eventually be pushed out of the Democratic Party. With the election of Tom Perez, the Democratic Party and its establishment showed that they don't give a fuck about the classical liberals within their party. They don't give a fuck about the progressives within their party. They don't give a fuck about the workers within their party. They don't give a fuck about anyone except fundraising. This is what they showed. And I hope people come to realize exactly what the Democratic Party is. It is just, it's the same thing with the Republican Party. I predict eventually that they are going to have their come to Jesus moment after, which I suspect Trump does his 2 terms, because it's looking more likely that he's going to do his 2 terms. If he can get the economy going, then the Democratic Party is done. They're not going to win in 2018, and they sure as hell will not win in the 2020 elections. They're not. I don't care what anybody says. The Democratic Party has learned nothing from this election loss. They're doing the same thing over and over again. They're continuing to play on identity politics more and more. They do not care about Black people or our issues. They just care about using us as a way to get votes. They do not care about Hispanic people and the issues they care about. They are using them to get votes. They don't care about workers in the Rust Belt. They are using them to get votes. And this is becoming more and more obvious for anyone who cares about this and just isn't just rooting for their team. You have to be honest about what's going on in the Democratic Party in order to change the party. The Democrats couldn't even come to terms with the fact that Bernie Sanders was cheated. Everyone knows this. This was stacked against him. If you can't be honest about what's going on in our own primaries, how the hell do you think you're going to start winning elections? How do you think you're going to get the trust back from a lot of people who left the party because of its illegal and immoral activities? No one is going to vote for you. You sunk your own ship by electing Tom Perez because you've showed everyone what we already knew. The Democratic Party doesn't give a fuck about the average American except raising money from their wealthy donors and their corporate sponsors who back them. They can go fuck themselves as far as I am concerned. As I said, I do have a little bit of hope that they can reform, but it's getting darker and darker every day with the actions that they take and what elected members in Congress on the Democratic side keep doing. Instead of actually moving the country along and working on issues that we all care about, protecting the environment, protecting our workers, protecting our veterans, getting them help, making healthcare affordable, having affordable housing, reducing the debt. These things, getting mental health care facilities open again because they've closed all throughout the country over the years. These are the things we care about, reducing our military spending. These are the things we care about, but instead they are focusing on identity politics, wedge issues, and continuing to engage in the oppression Olympics. This is what the Democratic Party is doing, and with the election of Tom Perez, the Clintonistas have won out, and I suspect that Hillary Clinton will try to come back and try to run again. If she doesn't run for mayor in New York, she is going to come back with the backing of Chucky Schumer. I fucking hate him, and I'm upset that he won re-election, and they are going to try again. As long as the Democratic Party and its sponsors, its backers, continue to beat the base, its progressive base, into not backing the Green Party, for fear that if they allow this party to get in, then the Republicans will take over, and the fear-mongering, then they will never change. And it's the same thing with the classical liberals in the party, within the Democratic Party. If the Democratic establishment continue to browbeat us as well, instead of joining the libertarians, because at this time, The Libertarian Party represents classical liberalism more than the Democrats do. So, there are two parties where progressives and classical liberals can find a home at, and it's not within the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party is for neoliberal shills who want war and who just want to raise money. That is what the Democratic Party has devolved into, as well as identity politics. That really is all it is. It's identity politics, wedge issues, and fundraising. If the Democratic Party was smart and wanted to win elections again and wanted to bring back voters, they would put the moderates in charge, the people who are centrists. But unfortunately, the moderates within the Democratic Party, the classical liberals, have been so browbeaten and silenced that I don't even think they have the will to speak out anymore. What I think will happen is the progressives will take over the party. They will continue to alienate people because they will focus on wedge issues. The people who are in power, the neoliberals will try to fight them for power. They will continue to be the party who advocates for war. They will continue to be the party who fundraises and backs corporations. They will continue to be the party who focuses on identity politics and wedge issues. They will continue to be the party who does all of these things. And the Democrats will eventually become a party only relevant on the coasts. As I've said them before, they will only be relevant on the East Coast and the West Coast. I think if the Democratic Party continues to do what they are doing and not do any soul searching, the Libertarians and the Greens will become more relevant than the Democratic Party itself. And I say this, if the Greens and the Libertarians form an actual party and join together to try to break the Democratic Party, they will win. Because you have to remember something. My age, the people in my group, the millennials, we are getting older. We are not the young voters of 2008. It is 2017. Most of us are in either our late 20s or are approaching our early 30s. The next generation coming up behind us is more conservative than any other generation previously never seen before. So the Democratic Party is going to have to think real hard as to where they are going. These are not your 60s liberals. The Democratic Party is nowhere near where they used to be as far as liberalism and caring about the relevant issues. So they're going to need to think real hard on where they envision themselves in the future. So yeah, the Democratic Party has learned nothing with electing Tom Perez. They have sealed their fate. They are not going to win in the midterms because Republican turnout is usually much higher in midterm elections. Democratic turnout is usually much higher in the general. So yeah, they're not going to win in 2020 either. No, I don't believe it. No matter who they put up, they're not going to win against Donald Trump. He is going to be assured of a second term because of the Democratic Party's foolishness. Their platform isn't going to resonate with any voters because I believe they're going to continue to focus on wedge issues and continue to suck on the corporate teat. I'm the Millennial Revolt. Thank you guys so much for watching, and you have a wonderful day. Bye.